worker. And the question is this really entirely true? So let's go back in time. 2.5 million years ago, humans started to develop technology, so pebble tools. These were cutting tools made out of stone. What these tools had an effect was that the humans could work more efficient. So they spent less time, which at the end of the day literally made us survive as humankind. So, but every new development comes at a cost, right? So we're talking about stone tools. So when bronze tools were invented, the ones who did the stone tools were driven out of their jobs. And later, when iron tools were invented, those who did the bronze tools lost their job. And this circle goes on and on, right? With the Industrial Revolution, a lot of handcraft jobs were forced to adapt, or they were just simply left behind. And this still continues, this process. The only difference is it happens much, much faster than in the past. So there are two major forces which accelerates this. First of all are really breakthroughs in technology, like robotics, computing power, high-speed networks. And on the other side, we have something called globalization, where really big corporates can just go abroad and really forward their workforce into other countries where the wages are lower. And this, of course, can diminish or erase millions of jobs, what they did in the past. So again, let's take history as an example. Here. The fear of new technology, that they are a risk for existing jobs, is a common phenomenon. We've seen that many times in the past. What you see here are some titles and headlines back in the early 1980s when IBM presented the first personal computer. So after the initial wave of enthusiasm and revelation of new opportunities that kind of technology might bring, that was followed by the flood of really dramatic headlines. So what will happen with us? Do personal computers take over our lives? Do we all lose our jobs, and what happens with us, right? So the processing power of computer just doubled every 2 years for decades, and this will continue for the future as well. So computers will be 1,000 times more efficient and faster than they are right now. But already right now, computers with artificial intelligence can beat grandmasters in chess, in Go. They can recognize faces, they can understand spoken language, and of course, they can even compose music. So everything what we did is special for humankind and which cannot be done by computers and by robotics. Now it's possible, or it's getting possible. Now we're not only talking about jobs in manufacturing, we're also talking about high-skill, knowledge-based jobs which are at risk. But is it really the case? So again, let's take a look in the future. What happened the last 40 years? So while the PC has really an undoubtful effect on the way we live and work, the time has also shown that we as humans, we tend to dramatize the unknown. Yeah? So we don't know what effect such kind of new technologies has. So looking at it from a research perspective, we can see estimation from McKinsey Global Institute that between 1980 and 2015, the introduction of the PC displaced, yes, 3.5 million jobs in the US only, but at the same time, it created 19.2 million jobs in US only. Yeah? So in addition to clearly offsetting the balance between jobs created versus jobs lost to these kind of new technologies, the ones who were created increased labor productivity dramatically under the influence of this new kind of technology. So in general, we can say change is scary, but it always drives progress. what about augmented reality then, right? So artificial intelligence and machine learning expected to threaten jobs today. So we have a variety of different titles. Could robots run the world? How robots will take over our jobs and kill the economy? Automation could replace 1.5 million jobs. And at the low-end right-hand side, Spiegel, a very big weekly magazine in Germany, so equivalent to the Mirror. You are fired. How computer and robots are taking away our jobs, right? So, but I kind of understand that. Why? Because if you have very smart people like Steve Hawking saying the development of a full artificial intelligence could spell the end of humankind, or Elon Musk who tweeted, AI is a greater threat than nuclear weapons, then of course what should a normal thinking person without having the background think of these new kind of technologies? So again, will augmented reality do the same? So I disagree with Steve Hawking and kind of these people who really draw a dark picture of these kind of technologies. I'm more aligned with Ray Kurzweil, as a computer scientist, who said artificial intelligence will breeze past human intelligence and keep on learning. So AI and humans will really turbocharge the speed of innovations, right? So again, last slide about artificial intelligence, because I want to gap the bridge to augmented reality. Today's factories are really ruled by robots, and they can assemble cars, they can sew garments, they can cook ready meals, or they can make our medication. Self-service machines replace the cashier in your store nearby, and services and apps like Airbnb, Skyscanner, Google Flights make travel agents really redundant. Also, according to Bloomberg, already in 2015, 20% of global stock market was traded by humans. The rest, 80%, already by robots. And looking ahead, there is no sign that this whole development will really slow down. So again, McKinsey estimates that already 50% of today's work activities can be automated by already existing technologies. Now, drawing the parallel to augmented reality, I think there is not a clear path to say augmented reality will kill jobs or augmented reality will always create new jobs. It's really depending on the different use cases. So when we're drawing back the parallel to AR, it's really essential to understand that unlike machine learning, the goal of augmented reality is not full automation, right? The main purpose of AR is to make the human better. So there was the claim of AWE the last years, giving the human superpowers. We really want to enable the people to get better, to work faster, to do less errors, and be way more efficient and productive what they're doing. So the goal of augmented reality is to superimpose the computer's perception of space with humans' understanding of it. Yeah? So we make the human better. So for several cases, augmented reality will be a job substitute. Imagine there's a factory floor where you have different production lines, different specialized machines. So right now you need different specialists to operate that machines. With augmented reality, if you enable the existing workforce, you don't need an individual specialist for each machine. So you can take one generic operator, and with the help of augmented reality, visualizing contextual information in the right time, in the right context, we just enable people to do higher qualified special work. So instead of having, for example, for 3 machines, 3 experts, you just have one who is able to operate all of them. So for these cases where a lot of automation is already included in the factory floor, where work is repetitive, workers are overqualified, and human workforce is costly, I think, or we are convinced, that augmented reality might be a job substitute. But on the other hand, we have, of course, areas where augmented reality is a clear job source, right? This is especially where you don't have experts, where really people are hard to find. So we have the demographic factor. As I said, we're around 7 years in the enterprise space, and every company has the same issue. First of all, you don't catch the young generation. There is always a war of talents. All the experts you have, they're retiring, they leave the company, so what about the knowledge? You need to ensure a knowledge transfer. So for example, for this oil rig, offshore workers are hard to find, first of all. Secondly, the deployment of workers is costly, and travel to remote location is really time consuming. So in these cases, instead of having no one who is able to do the repairs, who's able to do the operations or the maintenance, again, you can take other people who are not expert for this specific task, enable them with augmented reality to really perform these tasks as you need them. So as a conclusion, there are areas where augmented reality is a clear job substitute, but also there are a lot of areas where augmented reality is a clear job source. So what does it mean if we again compare that? We have augmented reality enabling, giving the people superpowers to really compete with machines. On the other side, we have machines, robots, who can really work very fast. And now we have the title, Humans Outpace Machines When Knowledge is the Driver. It's not a spelling mistake. I really mean that with that. Normally you would say, how can a human outpace a machine when it's about data? Accessing data, accelerating, analyzing data. So how we mean that is, if speed of work is the driver, machines can't be outpaced. So no human on this planet can work faster than a machine if it's really redundant, monotone, manual work. But the role of humans in the future is, in my opinion, misunderstood. Yeah? So people have unique strength that machines and algorithms will, in the near future, not be able to replicate, right? And these are sophisticated motor skills. So even if these are tasks which seem to be very simple, drowning blood or exchange a flat tire, yeah, you really need sophisticated motor skills, and the robots don't have that. Yeah? So if you do a robot dance, you do it like this, and you don't do it like that, right? So that's really the difference between machines and humans. And with augmented reality, now we have the capability of visualize all the data which comes from machine learning, which comes from artificial intelligence, and provide it to the human at the end of the day, who can really perform with that motoric skills, what I mentioned. So, while automation is the future for existing tasks that occur frequently in an identical manner, it's not possible to automate tasks that are less frequent, might differ, and every occurrence or require human judgment. And this is, the human can adapt new situations and different environments faster than a machine can do. So these types of new worker brings not only short-term benefits, as I said, less increasing the efficiency, increasing the productivity, doing less errors. It has also a long-term benefit. AR facilitates a knowledge transfer to experts, which are dying out, what I mentioned before. Augmented reality will help workers to accomplish a higher workload, because also what we observe, that in a lot of industries, actually performing the tasks doesn't take so much time, but the preparation to read through the documents, to analyze the data, to get the error codes from different sources takes sometimes way more than really performing the repair procedure, than really operating the machine. And if we can shorten that time, of course, overall the productivity will increase. We can make anyone experts within minutes. So again, what defines or differs an expert from a young professional? It's just the knowledge. And if I provide that huge knowledge, that expert knowledge to another person in real time in a way that everyone can consume and understand that immediately, we can create experts within minutes. And it's a counteract to like the skilled workers, as I mentioned also before. So how can you prepare your workforce? Again, don't panic, take advantage. So the digital revolution and the explosion of data, which is unleashing productivity and unlocking value across different industries and economics, it can be supported by augmented reality. So it's really important that to see as main takeaway, 4 steps, what we identify as really required. First of all, action is required. The AR technology has enormous potential for the industry itself. The predicted gains in efficiency, innovation, insights, and knowledge sharing is real and not in a distant future. So if you have the feeling that maybe today might be too early, I can assure you that tomorrow is definitely too late, because you can't just start with augmented reality within seconds. It is a process. It needs proper preparation, and that's my second point. We have a lot of enterprises, maybe also a lot in the audience did standalone applications just to check the technology. But these are really short-term shots. So to have proper installed augmented reality throughout your enterprise and deploy and scale it globally, it needs proper preparation. So what are my use cases? What are my pain points? Who is my target group? Who is the user? Where does the data come from? Who owns the data? Do I have in-house forces? Do I need external parties? Everything needs to be prepared before you can really do proper decisions. The third point is integration. Any solution, especially ones which have such an impact on your processes and throughout the whole company, it needs supporting integration. It needs to integrate into your CMS systems. It needs to integrate in your asset systems, in your PLM system, ERP systems, whatever, to be really fully leveraged and not only a separate aisle solution which has no integration to your legacy systems. And the fourth one is organizational fit. So there is not a standard schema of augmented reality to say it works for GE, it works at the same time for a small company, it works for the same time for a German company or a US-based company. So every organization, and per definition, the word organ, it's a living structure. So you need, again, proper preparation. What kind of augmented reality, what kind of processes do I need to fit my requirements? Again, talking about processes, an interesting story. In 2005, organized by playchess.com, they hosted a freestyle chess tournament. So they were a lot of grandmasters of chess who came with high-end computing power, high-end calculating power to win the tournament. And guess what? Who won that? It were 2 amateur chess players who brought 3 personal computers with them. And Garry Kasparov, one of the leading masterminds in chess, he explained that later, the combination, a weak human and a machine, but with a better process, was superior to a strong human and a machine with inferior process. So again, similar, AR is fundamental about making the human-machine team work as natural as possible, but therefore you need to understand your own processes, your own organization. So I'm coming to the end. I have 1 minute left. So a lesson of history is that today's digital revolution will generate really new waves of innovation and new kinds of work that we cannot yet imagine. One thing is sure, augmented reality will come. I know for those of you who are longer in that space, all the forecasts from Juniper, ABI Research, and how they are called, it's picking up next year. It's picking up next year. We heard also, if Apple brings up the devices next year, then it will pick up, then it will pick up. No one can say when the hockey stick effect will be, but one thing is sure, it will come. So there is, in my opinion, totally convinced, no way that we come across augmented reality. So having said so, thank you very much for your attention. If you want to know more in general about augmented reality platforms for industry, happy to talk to you at our booth 413. Thank you very much. Have a great day.